Hello and welcome to the Next Step Help podcast with me, your host Jack, and fellow co-host Sam, who are both mentors on the nextstephelp.net website. Today, we're going to be talking about how to truly quit porn. So to start off with, let's understand why porn is so bad for you. Sam, would you like to tell us about the mental side of porn?
Right, so watching pornography is extremely bad for your mental health, your attention span, and overall emotional stability. When you watch porn for the first time, I would like to say when you're 18, but let's be honest, it's going to be when you're 9, 10, 11. Like, ugh! You are going to be like absolutely overwhelmed by just seeing a pair of boobs, right? And
Yeah,
I think we can all relate to that. Being like 10 on the internet and looking up boobies in Google. And that's how it
Google
starts,
is
isn't it?
just it.
And eventually, especially over the years, you become desensitized to that kind of thing. And so only certain videos will do it for you. You'll develop fetishes, you'll develop kinks, you won't be able to enjoy real sexual activity or realistic sexual videos, even because your stimulation will have just been blown out of the roof over the years, and the dopamine reaction from pornography usage is just below that of cocaine. So when we do pleasurable activities, when we're stimulated to pleasurable things, alcohol, weed, whatever, our dopamine levels rise, and that's what makes those things pleasurable, right? Our body wants them, it needs them. Our brain's like, yes, take that, take that, take that. Same with sugar, loads of things. And so when our dopamine levels rise, like they do with porn, which is just below, and when our levels rise because of porn, they come just below that of cocaine. So it's a very similar reaction in that brain area. When that happens, our brain goes, this is too much dopamine. There's too much of this chemical in our brain. And so what it does is it detaches some of the dopamine receptors so that it doesn't overstimulate us and our brain doesn't overheat or explode or something, right? And so, similar to how if you're using a computer and you up the graphics on a game or you have 80 million windows open, it will just crash the computer because it doesn't want it to break or overheat. And so, because these dopamine receptors are disconnected, it means that normal everyday activities are far less pleasurable because your brain is used to having those dopamine levels at massively high levels. And that's why we develop shorter attention spans and we we watch far more stimulating content when we are addicted to for a long time. And
100%.
so, Jack, do you want to take, because it's unfortunately it's not just like a mental
Yes.
psychological problem. There are
Mhm.
physical issues too, isn't that right?
Are physical issues. And before I do that, I did want to bring up that this, unfortunately, some of the consequences of watching porn can be one of the most detrimental things for your self improvement journey. So one of the key things on your journey that you need to control, and it's pretty much what will set you apart from like 99% of everyone else is, can you control where your attention goes?
Mm,
And of course, this gets just stolen away by porn because you're not controlling where you're at. It's the porn that's controlling you. It's taking you out of your body into something else, and that's how it wins.
yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the physical benefits. So they talk about having more energy, you can have better sleep, more enjoyment of real sex. There's none of this weird novel weird kinky crap going on. And like fundamentally, do you want your penis to work properly? If yes, then stop watching porn. It's
Mm.
pretty much that simple. Premature ejaculation, impotence where you can't get it up, erectile dysfunction, all that sort of things is tied with porn. And Sam and I, this is not anecdotal evidence. If you go to yourbrainonporn.com, you'll be scrolling until your trackpad dies out because there's that much research into how bad porn is.
Mm.
And it's just such a shame that nobody knows. Nobody's talking about it. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to understand, get people to understand how bad porn is for you.
Well, to go off topic for just a second, it really pisses me off that there's all this research on yourbrainonporn.com, and yet everyone cites the research that, like, the one paper that's like, you will get prostate cancer if you
100%.
don't masturbate, right?
Yeah.
Or the ones that are like, oh, porn is good for you. Okay, right. Who do you think's funding those studies? This is
100%.
something that pisses me off beyond belief, right? Because of course the media and who is funded by money, and porn, who is makes more money than the NFL and I think the NHL combined or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. They make so much money. It's unbelievable. Of course they're going to fund research which encourages pornography. And so the research which shows the truth, and that is that psychological issues with pornography is shoved away to this website, which, to be honest, Your Brain on Porn, I'm surprised it's not on the bloody dark web by now with how much
Yeah.
censorship
Hidden
there
away.
is and stuff. I mean, I've gone a bit conspiracy theory there, but listen, guys, we're growing as a community of people who despise mediocrity and despise pornography. We are growing, but we are still the minority. So just be careful. Don't let the overwhelming wave of normalcy convince you to just hurt yourself.
Exactly.
Both
Just because
mentally and
everyone else is
physically.
doing it doesn't mean it's right. And with the thing of like, there's this much research that says it's bad and all this, funny stuff. There was one paper which everyone clings to that says vaccines cause autism.
Yeah.
And thanks to that one guy, we've now got a bloody pandemic on our hands, which doesn't seem to want to go away. That might be slightly run out of water, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah, exactly. So Sam,
yeah.
why have people in the past say someone comes up to you and they go, I tried to quit porn, but I've failed. What are you going to say to them? What are you going to give them to try and help?
Okay, so first of all, I would say that a big problem is that you still view yourself as someone who watches porn. Self-image. I mean, I've just started reading Psycho-Cybernetics, and that book goes on about self-image and how it completely controls every outcome of your life. If you believe that you're someone who still dabbles in pornography or someone who has a porn addiction, okay, then your body is going to react to that mental image, and it's going to happen, right? Another thing which we spoke about in our critique of NoFap video is if you're constantly obsessing over your streak, over the fact that, I don't watch porn anymore, guys, and you think that's really cool. I mean, I remember when I first got on NoFap, I was like, I hopped into the Discord call after like a 7-day streak, and I was like, boys, I have an announcement. I am no longer watching pornography. And everyone was like, why? What was... And every day I was like, God, I'm so cool because I don't watch porn. It's not true, first of all. Okay.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. But if you keep telling people that, they're not gonna think it's cool. They're gonna think you've got a problem, right?
Exactly.
So don't make it apparent unless you're with your brothers. Another excellent episode to watch is the episode on brothers versus friends. I promise I'm not just plugging it. Another reason you might fail is you just don't do the fundamentals of self-improvement. So you're not eating properly. You're eating a load of junk food. You're not sleeping well. That can make you irritable, which makes you want to release stress, right? You're lonely. You're not feeling any connection with other human beings, and that's something that porn does very efficiently. Is it artificially creates kind of corporate, disgusting pseudo human connection, which can be taken like a drug, and that's why it's so addictive. They've effectively done what everyone jokes about. We're like, oh, we've made love a drug that you can inject into your arm, and it's not as good as love. Trust me. It's false. It's fake. It's two-sided coin. I mean, Jack, do you have any other reasons that people might try to quit porn and fail?
Yeah, well, I sort of think this is a good time to actually bring up how you should quit porn, and I think there's a really good book called The Easy Way to Quit Smoking by somebody who wrote it in the 1970s, but it's still true today. And fundamentally, it's the one notion, which is willpower doesn't work. You can't muscle your way through it. And this is one of the uncommon things that happens in NoFap. Everyone believes they'll just bully themselves through their streak until eventually they don't need it anymore. But it's that identity shift of, I'm just going to do it not today. I'm just going to, which still like reaffirms in your head that you are somebody who watches porn instead of someone who does not. And what you've got to understand to quit porn, which is what it brings up in this book, is porn is keeping you from your freedom.
Mm.
And I'm going to just say that again because it's so true. Porn is keeping you from your freedom. And this is something you need to emotionally and intrinsically understand. You're never going to be free, never going to be able to realize your true potential, show yourself true and like love fully in this world if you're kept down by compulsions. And of course, some compulsions, are true. Like we need sleep, we need to eat, we need to exercise.
Mm.
But excess, social media, porn, junk food, these are the compulsions which are holding you back. And it's hilarious how easy it actually is. So you understand this notion. You think this is keeping me from my freedom. And I mean, you can. He doesn't say in this book stop watching porn immediately. Don't willpower it. But you can keep watching porn as you affirm to yourself that this is stopping your freedom. And after enough times of that, I mean, it could literally be one. You go, oh my god, this is running my life. I can't be doing this.
Mm.
It's that shift which you just don't want to do it again. You'll get to the point where you don't see it as an option. You see it as like chopping off a foot. Like you wouldn't do that in everyday life. You're just not gonna do it.
So, what do
And
you think are
oh,
some actionable steps to kind of take that mentality and philosophy and build it through daily habits or daily rituals?
well, be very mindful and conscious. So I'd recommend writing down that porn is stealing my freedom
Mm.
on pretty much as many post-it notes. Well, maybe not as many post-it notes because your house will be covered, but in your journal, in your post-it notes, and you stick them on your mirror, at your computer, so you see them often. You keep thinking, "Oh my God, this is true," and the mind doesn't believe, doesn't understand the difference between like a truth and a lie. It just accepts what you give into it, and this is something that it talks about in How to Think and Grow Rich, and I think in Psycho-Cybernetics.
Mm.
And if you keep reaffirming to this is also true. Don't. It's not just a bogus statement. It's stealing your freedom as you go through. Your day to day life. It'll become such a true part of your life. And if you are watching porn while doing this, there'll come a point where you're just looking at yourself and you're going, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Mm.
And this is one of the big things. So brainwashing is something that's given out by probably some of the big porn companies.
Mm.
So they give you this idea that quitting porn is hard. And this unfortunately is something that is also said in the NoFap. So if you believe quitting porn is hard, then yes, quitting porn will be hard.
Mm.
There's all this stuff you've got to give up, blah blah blah. This is all brainwashing to keep you in the cycle. So you've got to believe that it's easy. You can watch it once, decide that it's killing your freedom, and stop. I know this is quite hard to sort of understand, but I'd recommend trying it and going through. Maybe give yourself a period of 2 weeks, and you decide that this is the last time I'm watching porn. You decide it's killing your freedom. I want to be free. Done. Then you're free for pretty much as long as you want to be free, which I'd recommend would be most of your life. From that point onwards. Obviously, it's a
Yeah.
bit counterintuitive, but yeah, and you've got to not understand that it's a sacrifice. Giving up porn is not a sacrifice. Watching porn is the sacrifice.
Mm.
You're sacrificing where you could be, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes for this shitty, BBW woman on a black and orange website. It's not worth it. It's 100% not worth it.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add about that? Do you want to ask
Well,
something to clear it up?
well, the brainwashing is something I'm interested in. So, is there any ways in which you think society pushes us towards a narrative that sort of tells us that watching porn is okay and normal? And I just want to clarify that I do think watching porn, okay, it's not okay for you, okay? It doesn't matter about anyone else. Don't let anyone else tell you that it's I mean, let them tell you the facts, which is it's bad for you. It's bad for you, and acknowledge that it will be bad for you. But don't put yourself down if you do watch it by mistake, okay? don't put yourself down if you're still a habitual porn user, because if you're watching this or listening to this podcast, you're already so much further ahead than most porn users. Okay?
100%.
And so my question to you, to reiterate, would be, does society in some way tell us that it's normal and good for us to constantly watch porn and constantly masturbate?
I don't. Yes. Well, fundamentally, yes. There's not enough things out there that are saying it's bad, like that we all know, that we all agree upon, such as why the small research of why it's bad has been, shunned away. It's been
Mm,
like half the people listening probably don't even know about the website, which is pretty much the NoFap Bible.
yeah.
And if it's the Bible, you should probably go read it.
Mm.
Maybe. But it's the idea that porn is a taboo, and what taboo in your head, it creates a sort of a need, and something that's cheeky. You crave it, and as you go through, you think it's dirty and cheeky, so nobody speaks about it. It's not a common accepted thing, and through this, you actually get more addicted to it. So it doesn't become a habit; it becomes an addiction.
Mm.
It's another reason that people do, stay on porn, which is they get cravings about, or they believe that the reasons that they do fap are, I'm bored, or it relieves stress. And fundamentally, this is not true. This is something that you've been told. If you were to fap and then do it, you would see that these aren't actually real like side effects. You don't get more relaxed after fapping. You don't get more like less bored. It's just it's another brainwashing that's been given to you.
Mm.
And through the understanding that this is causing like destroying your freedom, you'll see through it, and you'll be able to go and get through it. And the point that I really want to dig home with the idea is the people who are long time users of porn, they've been doing it for years. If they still believe that having a fapping, having a wank is going to make them less bored or less anxious, they just don't get those results.
Mm.
Somebody who's on that long of a journey, deep into the hole, doesn't get those same consequences or those benefits that you think you get.
Mm.
And if that doesn't happen, then it's not true.
Exactly.
Do you wanna build on the sort of social normity? I want to put in quotation marks.
Well, I think we were all told as kids, and it's probably a reaction to hardcore Catholicism, which I also think is or like that Catholic mindset, maybe even just Christian, that you're in the 1920s, your grandmother's caught you masturbating, and suddenly you're on your way to hell. Okay, that's a very bad narrative. That's equally as bad, and so there's probably been an opposite reaction to this in society ever since the kind of de-theological state has become a thing. The atheist state, or at least agnostic, has become very prominent, and so it's almost a reaction against those old condemnings of masturbation and almost sexual freedom in a way. And we instead of going, okay, you never ever in society go, we're just going to stop in the middle. It's a complete opposite reaction. Okay, you can see that in so many places throughout history. And so we're on the other side of the spectrum now in a view of porn and sexual freedom. And I think that masturbation should not be condemned in that way. It shouldn't be condemned that badly. It's not something that would be helpful. It's like the war on drugs was not helpful for drug addicts. Okay, that wasn't a helpful thing. That just put more people in jail that had mental health problems. We don't want a war on masturbation. We want maybe the porn industry and the providers of pornography. They're not very good because they do fund these studies and push out this normalization of fetishization, and what eventually makes people feel very mentally unstable. But the idea that masturbation is evil just isn't true. It's not true. Porn maybe, but masturbation no. And so if you do find yourself relapsing again, don't listen to the nofap community, or at least that very negative side of it that will go like, you have lost everything, you're back to square one. Shut the fuck up. You have not lost everything. Okay, I can tell you my personal story here. So I had a nofap streak for the entirety of my 17th year on this planet. So I think it started on, yeah, it started on my birthday or something. Oh no, it was just after my birthday. Okay, so not the whole of my 17th year on this planet, most of it. So it was like 10 days after my birthday, 26th of July, until like the 3rd of August or something. When I broke that streak, I thought that I was back to who I was when I was like 16. And I was like really depressed for like a week. I wouldn't go outside. I wouldn't talk to people because I'm like, listen, I've gone back to being a coomer, a porn addict. Everything sucks. And all that did was make me, fall to the effect which makes it so you just relapse, the chaser effect. So you just relapse loads and loads in like a week. And that didn't help. Okay, that is what brings you back. So as we've said millions of times, you don't focus on the streak. You focus on the total days free from porn. For me, having almost a year completely free from porn and masturbation was an incredible achievement. But because of that idea that I need to maintain a streak, I was completely bummed out, even though I'd basically run an entire ultra marathon.
Yeah. 100%. So I think yeah, you just gotta understand that porn is the real bad guy. Masturbation, like, turns out, I don't know how true this is. I think it's true, but in the Bible, it was a mistranslation that masturbation was a sin, and it turns out it was a dude who decided not to impregnate his brother's wife after the Lord demanded him to.
Just something random, yeah.
Something like that, and we just got misquoted that said, "Oh, masturbation's a sin," but porn, like, the effects of porn is so much worse than the effects of masturbation. I mean, masturbation fundamentally can be healthy if you do it healthily.
Well, I wanted to ask you because we both read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, and in that book, Dr. Glover talks about healthy masturbation, and I was wondering if you wanted to expand on that and how it is completely different from porn and what he says to do.
Yeah, well, he brings up the idea. So you've got to learn. In this book, it teaches you how to get what you want out of life, and it does this through asking and through being like true and just saying your needs. Your needs are completely true, and they exist, and they need to be voiced to get what you want. There's no covert contracts, no sneaky manipulation. And he brings up the idea that you should learn to find what you like to do, and he does this through teaching you effectively how to masturbate. And I mean, fundamentally, this is something we should have been taught in school.
Yeah.
And I've got a book called The Multi-Orgasmic Man, and it talks about the idea that masturbation can be a form of self-love. You can cultivate love in your body. And it does have a caveat, which is it recommends, or the idea is not to waste your semen. So you can have an orgasm without the ejaculation period. And the ejaculation period is where you get the negative effects of masturbation. But because it's such a taboo, everyone just thinks that is, the orgasm is, you come, you ejaculate. And it's from that you feel drained, you lose so much energy, the amount of energy, like half of it, that could produce a life, a human being, you just expelled from your body. No wonder you feel shit. No wonder you feel, ugh. And there's a common trope of the man, goes over on his wife, they have sex, and then he collapses and goes to sleep.
Yeah.
That's not meant to happen.
Well,
so you can, no, not really.
Well, I don't know. I think that is meant to happen because you are literally using the power to generate an entirely new being.
If they're doing that for the purpose of having a baby.
Yeah.
But if it's, regular sex, then it's just a waste of your energy. It's a waste of your seed.
Yeah. But I actually disagree with you there. I don't think I have a problem with I have a problem with hookup culture. I don't think it's helpful at all. I don't think it's helpful for male-female relationships. But I don't think I have a problem with, loving, emotional, sacred sex with someone who you love. And I think ejaculation is a part of expressing that. And probably quite a big part. It is literally, because of the way the man collapses, it is the crescendo. And so I actually disagree with you there. I don't think that ejaculation should only take place when trying to reproduce. I know there are a lot of people who do believe that, who are very big in the semen retention community, and I totally understand the thought process behind that, but I think that's just far too strict, to be honest.
Well, I do believe that there are ways of physically saving your semen, and you can have multiple orgasms
Mm.
that build on each other, and that can be the crest. But you do need to understand that ejaculating it's expending your energy where you may not need to, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Well, I just want to go back quickly to the idea of healthy masturbation because
Hmm.
a lot of people may hear that and go, "Oh, it's fine. I can just quit porn. I can still, you know, smack the chicken 18 times a day or whatever." Right, Miss Dr. Glover in the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. I'm not sure about the multi-orgasmic man. I haven't read that yet. He talks about how you shouldn't masturbate to any kind of fantasy. You should just masturbate in the complete present moment. Now, I was really curious about this, and I know I've got my porn addiction on lockdown. Right, I'm not going back there anymore. That's for sure. At least not to nowhere near the extent. I might relapse once, and I'm not going to try and deny that, but it's a complete tangent. I've tried this. It's extremely difficult to actually do this. I think my record was like 10 seconds of being completely in the present moment. It is absolutely insane. You need insane self-control, insane awareness gained from years of meditation in order to
Hmm.
be able to just completely stay in the present moment when your brain wants to think about all the porn videos you've ever seen and all the sexual experiences you've ever had. And so although he talks about healthy masturbation, and I think it's almost a meditative exercise in that regard, I wouldn't recommend it for people who are just trying to quit porn because all it's going to do is push you back there.
And that is something that the Multi-Orgasmic Man teaches you. It's about self-love. So you got to be present. You got to
Mm,
feel, everything in your body. How does it feel? That sort of thing. And I do think that it can be quite hard if you're trying to, do two things at once. So quitting porn is fundamentally the first step.
mm.
Would you agree, Sam?
Yeah.
So that is where we, hit the focus, hit it home. The stuff we talked about in this podcast, it's on that thing. And, you know, just you won't believe how much of a difference it makes. You can read all of the pages and pages of research on how bad it is, but until you try it, you just won't know. And how ignorant can we be if the fact that it's literally just below crack cocaine, a class A drug, something that can put you in prison for just possession. And we're doing this thing with, yeah, it's all fine, blah blah blah. No,
Mm,
no taboo.
yeah.
There's literally just a pop-up window that says, "Are you over 18?"
Mm,
And 3-year-olds could click yes.
yeah.
Three, like,
Yeah, that's
is that not easily one of the biggest problems there is?
so we're gonna go.
Like,
I can tell we're gonna go into a bit of a rant section here, and I'm very much down for it. I used to be a swimming teacher for kids between the ages of 4 and 12, and obviously I teach them and they're really innocent. I'm really happy to just hang out with them because they're really fun and youthful and full of life. And the idea that even one of those kids that I taught had seen porn makes me want to actually cry and punch through a wall. It's absolutely enraging, and and I don't have any words. I just have to I had to say that. It's
yeah,
just,
it's one of the saddest things to think about. Like kids that are that young, that pure, and that free and that loving.
mm,
They haven't been socially conditioned yet.
mm.
Can click on that and just throw it all in the bin.
Yeah.
Get addicted that early, not understanding the real negative side effects
Mm.
and what it's doing. And they that young doing that is just really just sad to
And,
think about.
and
Honestly, it would be a really good Halloween story. Reading your brain on porn would terrify the shit out of me nowadays.
yeah,
Oh, worse
yeah.
than a scary movie.
Well, what? I mean, what did they teach us when we were in sex education in school? I mean, I remember getting taught that you have to wear a condom, make sure the other person consents, and there was nothing about masturbation for men or women. And imagine, and nowadays, if I was a teacher and I had to teach sex ed and I was free from the system and the whatever they hit the teaching course, I would just get them. I would just do a presentation on all the research in your brain on porn, and those kids would not touch porn.
Yeah, 100%.
It's well, they probably would, but it would definitely create that kind of barrier, as similar to the
Mm.
ones we have with drugs and stuff. Like,
And if you are able to bring in the idea that this is stealing you from your freedom, bring in that why. So you're mindful of it when you're even just before you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna watch porn. Then you think, oh, it's gonna steal me from my freedom. You're just not gonna do it. It's gonna bring you back to where you want to be on this journey. And I think this is something we haven't touched yet, but I know Sam briefly mentioned it. But this is a journey.
mm,
It's a process that takes time, and you know relapses can happen. It's something that you need to be aware of. And there comes a point where, I mean, Sam and I are sort of there now, but we still need to be conscious of what's happening in that industry, and we need to understand that it's online. It's hard to avoid, but you can do things that help. So ad blockers, unfollowing provocative social media. I mean, sex sells, so that's just what they throw at you in social media.
just get rid
So
of, if you have Instagram, just I mean, what I do with Instagram, because I do like to, I like to watch volleyball videos on Instagram. I don't have it on my phone or anything. I have it on my computer, and I downloaded the add-on. You can find, it's a Google Chrome extension that just makes it so you can, I can't remember what it's called, but you have like a timer on distracting websites. You put the website in there, and I give myself 1 minute a day on Instagram. That is not enough time to find like a provocative Instagram model, or even find most of the stuff I'm actually looking for when I'm on there. So I tried to change the time the other day because I had to, because I was sending myself stuff on different accounts for the business, and trying to disable this thing was the most, like, I was only doing it for work, and I was turned it straight back on at the end. The thing went like, why are you doing this? Like, it was putting pop-ups all over my screen. Like, why are you doing? What are you doing? This is you promised. You made a promise to yourself. It was like guilt tripping me, and it took about 5 minutes to go through, like, okay, yes, I still want to do it. Yes, I still want to do it. At one point, and this made me laugh out loud, it said, if you press OK, it's going to set off a thermonuclear device. And I was like, what? And so if you can get blockers like that, I will try and find it and put a link in the description for it. I can find the name here. It's called Stay Focused without the E for some reason. Get that, because it is so good. If you can get that for all your porn websites, all the Instagram, all the Twitter, okay, you'll create that barrier, just like Jack said.
Yeah, 100%. And James Clear mentions it once again in his book Atomic Habits. Make the bad stuff hard to do. So if you want to quit a habit, make it really hard to do. Only have it on your computer. Have the password written down on like a mate, and you have to go and text them
Yeah.
to then have them send it.
Oh,
Just put as much resistance in the way, so you go, oh, it's not worth doing.
yeah.
I mean, you've got that much time to realize, do I really want to do this? Is this stealing my freedom? Yes? Well, I'm not going to do it then.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, we could, let's be honest, we know so much about this. We could talk for about, we could do a whole episode on just habits that, or like literally like survival mechanisms to quit porn, rather than the whole, like, this episode's clearly been about like the whole mindset, and that is probably the foundation. That is extremely important. In terms of like little gimmicks you can use to quit porn, we could make a 12-hour podcast on that. I mean, I think we finish it with this one. This is the last one. I know it's hard. I've got so many, but Pinnacle of Man told me this one, and it's not personally. I watched a video, right? And what you do is, if you feel like you want to watch porn and you've acknowledged that itch, you ring a friend or a family member, and you talk to them for at least 10 minutes. And if you put the phone down and you still want to watch porn, then at that point he says just do it, and that tricks your brain, because you're like, oh, I can just ring them and then I can do it. And but usually when you ring them, you're like, oh shit, there are other people in the world and I don't actually want to do this, and you discover that kind of connection, and you don't want to have commodified connection once you've experienced real connection. And that's just another little tidbit method. I mean, there are so many, and most of them work.
So would you like to conclude the episode?
Yes, so in conclusion, don't watch porn.
Effectively, yeah. Ding ding.
Ding ding. There are, the effects it have on your dopamine levels are almost as high as the effects of cocaine on your dopamine levels. That I have to stress that is a scientific fact that has been proven Okay.
Hmm.
If you've tried to quit porn and failed, it's probably got a lot to do with your self-image and your surroundings. I
Yeah.
mean, and Jack, do you want to talk about do you want to reiterate how society really affects this?
Yeah, society, it's telling you it's all right by not having enough, saying it's bad.
Mm,
There are ideas that it's hard to do, and
mm-hmm,
this is one of the reasons that you can keep failing.
mm.
It's just society bringing up the idea that it's not too bad, and therefore you're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you relapse after a long time, just be so proud. Look at the amount of days you went and you were clean, and just be so proud of it. Okay, just
100%.
just be, especially if you've come a long way from where you were before. So again, for me, like I was doing it like 3 times a day, and I went a whole year and did it once. Right, that's an insane level
Just
difference.
just what a transformation. I would also recommend that if you do relapse after that long time, what did you learn? Why did you relapse? And
Mm,
from there you can then go, okay, I relapsed because of this. How can I get rid of that so I don't do it in the future?
yeah, and yeah, I think we're good. Thank you everybody for listening. That was a very important episode. I feel, considering that porn addiction is one of the modern curses on young men, very young men, as we discussed earlier. So if you enjoyed this video, check out nextstephelp.net for one-to-one specialized coaching on porn addiction and all problems that modern young men face. Jack, anything to add?
Oh, an appropriate price. And
For
thank
yes,
you for listening.
for a very affordable price. Thank you everybody for listening. Have a great day, have a great night, have a great week.